In version 4, one element that was significantly improved is the property box. You can open the property box at any time by selecting a person and then clicking on the property box icon at the top. Now what you can see is this has arrived in its docked view. This means that it reduces the size of the main part of the screen. You can use these dotted slided bars to resize it in and out, and also to remove and move up and down the split between the two elements. The source focus window can sometimes disappear almost off the bottom of the screen, particularly on a small screen, so it's well worth remembering that you can move it around using these bars. You can also undock the focus window or float it so that you can move it around and even move it off Family Historian. If you've got two screens, then this is very useful because you can move it out the way. You can resize it again as we saw earlier, and we can turn the source panel on and off. And as you'll see in this view, my source panel moves over to the right, which is more like the traditional program. But again, we've got the dotted bars to split it. One thing that is different from version 3 is there's no Details tab. Now you can add that back in, which I'll show you in a minute, but of course you can still enter all your information here and additionally use the Facts tab to add in additional information and edit it. So we can click on any fact and add and remove the information here, and we can see the sources for the census information. What you can do as well is add facts here, and once you've added a fact you can add multimedia to it, which again is new in version 4. We can tell it to jump the person that's open in the property box and jump to the focus window, or we can jump to the records window, all of which were there before. We've also got the traditional All tab, which looks a lot like the records window. We've got the multimedia. We've got any notes, and we've got the main window. Now what we can also do is come up and click on the menu button to get a selection of menu options. So we can change the font size, very useful if your eyesight isn't quite as good as it once was, and we can actually customise the text size as well, but most people can manage quite happily with those options. Additionally, we've got customise. Now one of the things you can do is, if you particularly like the Details tab, is just simply hit the version 3 compatibility button, and what that will do is add you an additional tab. So what we find now, we've got a Detail tab, which you can see is pretty well identical to the old one, and you can edit any item on that Detail tab, and you can add new tabs of your own. Where this does come in, if you make extensive use of things like flags, you can set up a tab with your flags on and simply just maintain them as any other piece of data without having to go into the records window or the All tab to do it. So for instance, if I just click on Edit Custom Item for the birth field, we can see it's got a custom name, a part 1 and a part 2, which basically is the date and the place. You can set the width and the alignment groups. It's a good idea to have a steady play with this. So that's customization. You can also go in and change the colours, and additionally there are a few extra options you can access for dealing with the property box by going to Preferences and into Property Box here. That includes the default fonts and also how it looks in different positions. So you can say when it's docked whether you want the source pane at the bottom or the right, and whether you want the in the bottom or the right when it's floating. You can also change the thumbnail sizes, you can change the captions and the colours, so there's quite a lot of customization here to make it look like you want it to look. But the main one to remember is, if you do dock, then you might find that the children all disappear, or that the source information disappears if you've got a relatively shallow screen. But again, you can maintain the information, you can have your secondary spouses. I've now, as you see, got a Detail tab here, multimedia and all.